the kids, but that feels great. I might walk back over and walk over one more time. I would like to congratulate the junior high band. It was a great performance. Thank you very much, Mr. Reese. Congratulations. I would also like to say one of the reasons that we love our music department and our kids in the arts and band and chorus so much is because we just had two bands completely switch, like 100 kids to 100 kids in like 4 minutes, and yet we have other kids in the building who can't get from third to fourth period in 4 minutes. So we just shifted like two completely different bands to continue a concert in like 3 minutes and 42 seconds, including warm-up, and yet we still have to be with parties to class. So thank you for those quick transitions. You guys continue to do a great job in a lot of different ways. I did forget when I was complimenting our senior high and junior high music staff that I would also like to thank our elementary staff, and some of them are here tonight, and I'm not going to take a lot of time going through all the names, but our elementary staff has really done a great job of supporting and building the program and sending those kids to us prepared, so I thank you very much to those of you that are here. But part of that reason is the gentleman that I'm going to introduce. Mr. Vineski is our department chair, and Mr. Vineski works tirelessly on this program and for the entire K-12 department and the music program here in the Armstrong School District. I've had the pleasure of sitting in the interview process with Mr. Vineski, and I'm going to tell you, if I were the person interviewing, it literally is like worse than America's Got Talent, because there's like 5 people sitting down here scoring, and Mr. Vineski firing at people with an entire stage of instruments set up here, telling them what to play, what scales to play, what instrument, and it's a very demanding and difficult interview, and that's why we end up getting the best of the best. I've done this, I've been in education for 26 years. I've worked with a lot of musicians that have been band directors, choral directors, but at a high school band level, I will tell you he's absolutely the best, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight Mr. Jason Vineski.
Good evening. My name is Jason Medeski. I'm the Senior High Band Director. I'd like to thank Mr. Lorgan for such a lovely introduction. He's a great person to work for, as is Mr. Commodus and Mr. Toy. So I really appreciate that, the support he gives us throughout the year and the year. So thank you again for that introduction. And one more hand for the junior high band. Before we get there. So that first piece of music was taken from a suite, a ballet suite, by Serge Prokofiev, Russian composer, entitled Lieutenant Kiji. Any MASH fans out there? Anybody who used to like MASH? Well, you're undoubtedly going to know one of the greatest MASH episodes ever, Captain Tuttle. So if you remember Captain Tuttle was a figment of the imagination of Hawkeye, and they made him up. You know, they made him this hero, this big strapping person. He would run into battle, run into flames, he would come out. Well, Lieutenant Kiji was an early version of that in Russian. Some Russian officers screwed up, so they made a fake officer up so they could blame him. Well, he ended up becoming a hero, and he had all these exploits. He even got married, but he didn't exist. So the Tsar wanted to meet this Lieutenant Kiji. So like, oh no, what are we gonna do? They find out he's not real. He's going to kill us. So what did they do? Well, they killed him off instead. So they had the death of Kiji. But that particular song that we played, it was Troika, and that depicts Kiji riding in a 3-horse sleigh, which is, Troika is Russian for a 3-horse sleigh. Our next selection has been around since about 1580, the tune. You know it better in its Christmas form. The original tune is called Greensleeves. The Christmas form is What Child Is This? It's a beautiful melody. Again, it's been around since around 1580. I don't know, do you think Post Malone's music will be around 450 years from now? I'm gonna take bets on that. I'd like to know, I'd like to be around for that. So please enjoy Greensleeves. lot of stuff going on in that tune. We had solos by Joey Long and Austin Stello. We also have marimba calisthenics going on. If you noticed, the 4 bell players on the vibes and marimba were playing 2 mallets each. So you imagine holding 4 things in your hand and hitting notes. So they have to do a little bit of contortionism. It was a nice little feature for them. I really hope that came out into the audience. They're doing such a great job. Thanks to Mr. Reams working with them. Yeah. The Nutcracker is one of the most beloved ballets in the world. It has some of the greatest music. It's the most popular ballet in the world. Unfortunately, most of us don't have the 4 hours it takes to drive down to Pittsburgh and watch the show and make it back. So we thought we'd condense that 4-hour experience into a little bitty 3-minute package for you. So these are the 3-minute highlights. We did this a couple years ago. I added 2 measures onto it. So one of my wise guys in the band, maybe sitting out there someplace, Steve and Alex and maybe Isaac, they put a meme up that said, 3-minute Nutcracker. Mr. Vineski added 2 bars. Is it still 3 minutes? Well, guys, I'm going to speed it up at the end, so it still will be 3 minutes long. Here is the 3-minute Nutcracker. That's a fun one. Kids always love that. It's been a staple in my repertoire as a high school band director for many years. Great music and a nice package. They get exposed to a little bit of everything. Our next selection is nearly as old as Greensleeves. The Coventry Carol has been around since the late 1500s. It gets its name because it was sung in the pageants and plays in Coventry, England around that time. Those plays actually started in the 1300s, so they've been going on quite a while. Coventry Carol is in the form of a lullaby, a sad lullaby. It's a lullaby for mothers in mourning for the death of their children. It comes from the book of Matthew, the story of the book of Matthew of the massacre of the innocents. This is when King Herod declared that all boys 2 and younger around the city of Bethlehem had to be killed. So, you know, that awful thing happened, and this sad lullaby came out of it. It's also one of the first songs and melodies to use a musical device that's called the Picardy third. And what the Picardy third is, you have a piece of music that's in what's called a minor key, or a lot of people think of it as a sad sounding key, just a kind of a sad feeling throughout. But at the very end of the piece of music, the composer changes one little note and turns it into a major chord, or what's often felt as a happy chord. I think that note in this particular song is very important because through all the pain and suffering of this lullaby, there is that ray of hope of a heaven at the very end. I hope you enjoy. And before I go on to that, there's a beautiful quartet section in the middle, tambourine, recorder. We have English horn and tenor saxophone playing tonight, and it's music straight out of the Renaissance period. I think you're really going to enjoy that little setting that happens in the middle and the end. So here's Coventry Carol. what's left of the tambourine band. I would be in trouble for that. So nice job, Austin. Mr. Reeves gave him a part. He could have just done it in his sleep with mallets, but no, he said, this is the way we do it for real. So he had Austin playing tambourine like that. I think Cassidy had a part where she has to roll, which you take your thumb and you bounce your thumb across the tambourine, so it goes like that. Sounds easy, but I can't do it at all. So very nice. Well done. Well, we've reached the end of our program. I'd like to thank you, the parents, for entrusting me with these marvelous young men and women up here. I see them throughout the year, but during the school year, they only get 39 minutes a day. And by the time they get in, they get their instruments out, settled in, we're looking at 32 minutes of rehearsal. And I want to keep them long every day. I keep them for at least 2 periods. Maybe not 3, but at least 2. So he's not impressed by that. Sometimes I do keep them extra long, and the 9th grade girls come to me frantically for passes because everyone misses boards class, and they want to make sure that they're not in target for that. But they're great kids. We really enjoy it. We're going to turn it up a couple notches here in the spring, have some difficult music for them. None of this happens again without acknowledging the people who come before me. I'm at the top of the pyramid. It's not because I'm at the top. It's because of the people down below me that work the way up through. Starting in the elementary schools, Jason Kirkota at Leonard Pete teaching general music, Charlene Kirkota at West Hills Primary with elementary, Deanna Bricker with the West Hills Intermediate Elementary, and of course the band directors, Lou Rybar, Leonard P. band director, and Bob Chislinsky, the West Hills band director. They feed into Mr. Reeves, and then it goes up to me. We have a great faculty here. I appreciate the support that I get from Mrs. Emily Hillis, Mr. Joshua Meyer stepping in for me on Sound and Lights this evening. They've been sitting very calmly throughout the evening because they did their concerts already. So it's just like, woo, that's just right out to the end of the year. But it's certainly not possible with my friend and partner in this musical endeavor, Mr. Rob Reeves. Without him, this doesn't happen, especially this last piece, because it features our percussion section with whom he spends tons and tons of time. This next selection, Cathedral Bell Fantasy, takes the tune of Ukrainian Bell Carol. You heard it earlier with Max and Stella staying, and it seems to show up on most of my holiday and Christmas concerts. Just a great tune. I think it's ingrained in the blood and the core of the people of Western Pennsylvania. And you're going to love this and be whistling it out the door as we feature our percussion section and the rest of the band, the Cathedral Bell Fantasy. Thank you very much for coming out. If you want some more holiday music, the Catan Community Band performs tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Many of the young men and women that you see behind me play in that organization. I conduct it, so it'll be another hour of wonderful music, a varied repertoire. So it's a free concert, so if you're done with your rapping or you need to get out of the house, come on out and hear some music. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year. Once again, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, have a good evening.